good afternoon, good morning, good evening. It doesn't matter what time you're looking at this and what time this is being streamed live. We are here with Principal Self Care Sundays. I'm Dr. McGee. Listen, I'm a principal, I'm a high school principal, I'm a professional life changer, I'm a transformational leader. And one of the things I pride myself is on being able to transform, being able to serve, and being able to be inspirational to those that are in my care. Therefore, I consider myself a transformational leader. And I wanted to do these self care Sundays. And so every Sunday, I want to hit you with some self care conversations. I don't want to say tips. I don't want to say, I have all the knowledge and I'm giving it to you. Nope. This is a way for me to be accountable as a principal, but also for me to be able to help other principals do this work. So, Self Care Sundays is about that. How do we take care of ourselves so that we can continue to lead our organizations, our schools, our families, our communities in the educational process? How do we continue to do that? So, this week, on this episode of Principal Self Care Sundays, let me say this: it's not just for principals either. It's really for educational leaders. It's for leaders. It's for parents. It's for families. It's for school. Like I said, schools, families, and communities. This week, we want to focus on boundaries. And there's no rhyme or reason to this. It's just I have a week, and I said, wow, what was tough for me this week? And what was tough for me this week were my boundaries. And that was the red flag. As I'm being more authentic to who I am, as I'm being more self-aware of who I am as a leader, I'm noticing things at a different level because I'm starting to pay attention. I'm not just going through my go through. I'm paying attention to those pain points. I'm paying attention to what's working, what's not working, how I move and make decisions. I'm doing this intentionally so that I can be more authentic. And what happened to me made me want to talk about boundaries. So one day this past week, we had an open house that took place after school from 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. And mind you, you get to the school around 6:30 a.m. to get ready for breakfast, open up doors, and greet students. That's when I got to work. We got to work, school started, we did school all day. Mind you, I have my own kids, so they have school and I'm tapping in with their teachers. After school gets out, my own children come to my school off of their bus and they wait for my day to end. I take them home, I come back, we have open house from 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. And what happened was at 7:30 when everybody was done, I'm sending everybody home. Mind you, I'm pretty exhausted. But I have a conversation with a staff member who was talking to me about things that could have taken place the next day. It wasn't urgent, but we were having conversation about all the things that are going on in their particular leadership space. I'll say it that way to try to remain anonymous as much as possible. But I allowed it, and I'm exhausted. I'm at a point where I can't even have a strong, intelligent conversation because from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m., I've been hustling, bustling, moving, making decisions. I'm suffering from decision fatigue. And that could be a whole episode in and of itself. But I was tired. And so I said, okay, my self-care has to be around boundaries because I know the way that I'm wired, I don't really establish strong boundaries. I typically say yes to everything. And as a principal, that's not a good thing to go to or go through or establish as a practice. But I find myself doing that often. At least I used to, but now I'm more aware. So what I want to do is I said, how do I deal with this? I came across an article from Fulcrum Education Solutions, and the author was Sarah Hunko. Sarah Hunko wrote an article about setting boundaries, and I thought it was powerful. So there are 3 principles that I want to share with you from this article that I think is powerful for setting boundaries as a school leader. All right, so number one, she claims that we should maintain a predictable schedule. We want to maintain a predictable schedule when you are available and unavailable. Well, what does she mean by this? What does she mean by this? So maintain a predictable calendar of availability. That's how I translated that, right? So maintaining this level of a calendar, saying, hey, this is my calendar. This is what this looks like. This is where we are. This is where I am. Here's where I am in the beginning of the day and at the end of the day. So staff know exactly what your arrival and dismissal procedures are. Oftentimes, being able to touch base with staff in the morning is strong, allowing them to see you. And if you are a high school or secondary principal, it's probably good practice to do rounds. And in the morning before school starts, you just kind of go to every floor and greet every teacher or staff member, right? So make that process predictable. That's something I'm going to work on. Instead of trying to take care of all these things early in the morning, make sure I touch base with my staff, because sometimes I don't see them throughout the entire day because of their subjects and their schedules, and I don't get a chance to see them. So how do I make sure that they see me on a consistent basis? Is to have a predictable schedule, especially in the morning and after school. Let them know when you can be reached. All right. Do I have office hours? I want office hours, but I don't necessarily have them that are spelled out. I always say my door is always open. You can always talk to me, and that's cool. But if it's not practical, then it doesn't work, because there are times when I can be in my office and a teacher wants to talk to me and they only have so much time on their prep period, and I'm in the office on the phone. They're looking at me, and I don't have any clear designation on my door that says I'm available, I'm not, come on in. So I want to employ a system that says red, yellow, and green. Red, don't knock on my door. Don't look at me like I'm going to wave you in. The door will tell you where I am, but have specific times for that. So consider that if you haven't, a new principal, aspiring principal, veteran principal, whatever the case may be. So let them know when your door is really open, as opposed to just telling them. When is it safe and okay to text after hours? Again, it was 7:30. I was ready to go home. I didn't let the staff member know that I was done. Or we could talk about this tomorrow. I didn't put that out there. It just was what it was. And I let them talk. And I don't even remember the conversation. So we have to protect our boundaries by, number one, maintaining a predictable calendar of availability. So I'm going to put that together this week and see what that looks like. The article went on to give us another example, and it basically, I said, leave your cape in your office. That's how I translated it, right? Number two is to leave your cape in your office. What does that mean, Dr. McGee? Here's what that means. As a principal, you act like you are, to a lot of people, the superhero in the building. You make all the decisions. You make all the calls. The buck stops with you. You can solve all the problems. Well, that's cool, but there's a trap to that. The article talks about there's a trap. They call it a hero trap, where you feel like you can save the day, and amidst chaos and confusion and a lot of things that are happening and going on, you have a small win by solving a small problem, and you put your hands on your hip and stick your chest out, and you feel like the hero. And guess what? You will. But what happens is that teachers and staff will feel like you are always available to solve the problem. Come and save the day, to save the day. And as principal, as leader, as leading instructor, you have to be able to be in that role. Oftentimes it's equated to being a firefighter. Being a firefighter is not necessarily the best job for the lead principal. You are a leader of all things. So for you to be in the woods, for us to be in the woods, fighting and chopping down trees in the trenches is not always our best work. So leave your cape in your office sometimes. Yes, it feels good to do that. You just can't solve all the problems all the time. Like all the problems all the time. Sometimes you have to delegate. I'll just say that. Sometimes we have to be okay with delegating. But when you do that, you're coaching your people that you lean on, your team, to become better, to become stronger, to become leaders, so that they are in a place where when they take over a building at some point, they know what to do, and you're not doing all the work for them. All right. So you want to be, I said this, you want to be less like Superman and more like the Avengers, right? You want to be more like the Avengers, where there are people who have superpowers in certain areas, and you want them to do that, right? You got Flash or somebody like Flash, who's, I know he's not an Avenger, but you get what I'm saying. You got Flash, who's speed. Your PE teacher might be Flash, right? You got Iron Man, who's a scientist, and that might be your STEM teacher. And you let them do, like, you have to look at the different powers and superpowers that your team has, and let them exercise their powers. So be less like Superman, who has all of the he has speed, strength, eye vision, code. He can fly. He's Man of Steel. He can do it all. But you don't have to be that person. You can be more like um who was it? Nick Foley? I forget his name. Uh who's it? Who runs the Avengers? And he's not a superhero himself, but he's super savvy at leadership. And he says, "Hey, I need Iron Man, I need Spider Man. I'm gonna give you the technology for the Hulk," and he can bring them all together so that they can go out and save the world. Be more like the Avengers, and then create systems that get your staff to rely on each other. What does that look like? What does that look like when your staff relies on each other instead of coming to you first? Leave your cape in your office. All right. And then last one, avoid the yes equals no. Like yes should mean yes, no should mean no, and no shouldn't equal yes, and yes shouldn't equal no. What I mean by this is you don't want to get to a point where you say yes when you really want to say no. Again, boundaries. You want to establish strong boundaries. If you want to say yes with conditions. This is a hard one because it's like tennis for me. Hitting that ball back, then I'll say yes to you. But, so for instance, like if the teacher wants to do a field trip, they're like, we want to do a field trip. And you can say yes to the field trip, but they have to be responsible for securing the busing. They have to be responsible for doing the field trip form. They have to be responsible for getting chaperones, right? Yes, with conditions. If you don't do this, they say resentments will start to form. The last thing we need in our leadership and leading our people that are in our care is for resentments to start to brew up, because you'll start getting angry with yourself and the people you're saying yes to that you really meant no. So that is hard, but you want to start to focus on this so that those resentments don't arise, because they will start to spill over into your team. And now you as the leader aren't making them to your team. And now you as the leader aren't making the best, most sound decisions, because you're not protecting your space, you're not protecting your time, because you're overloading yourself by saying yes, because you're probably trying to build some type of trust or build a relationship with that staff member or staff members so that you can seem available when a lot of times you're really not. And this does not help the cause at all. So saying yes when you mean yes, not when you really mean no. Another one is say no for now. Oh, this is a good one. This is a good one. I can use this one. You can say no for now and then come back to it a little bit later. But oftentimes when you do say no, when you get to that point where you're saying no, don't backpedal, right? Don't apologize. You know what? And most importantly, don't dwell on it. I can be an emotional leader, and I know I can dwell on saying no because I want people to be happy. I want people to be satisfied. I want my staff to be well taken care of. And I don't like saying no to people, but sometimes you got to say no. And don't dwell on it. Don't think about it. Any of that. So those are the three. Those are the 3 points for that I want to go through this week on this Principal Self-Care Sunday. Is we want to make sure that, you're taking care of you. You are taking care of you. And as we get ready to leave, here's what I want to, a quote I want to go ahead and share, right? It says, love yourself enough to set boundaries. Your time and energy are precious, and you get to decide how to use them. You teach people how to treat you by deciding what you will and won't accept. I just got to lay that right there for a second. Love yourself enough to set boundaries. Most people think boundaries are a bad thing, and they're not. They are there to help you. And yes, you have to be a little bit selfish. You have to set boundaries with almost everybody you interact with: your staff, your kids, your wife, your extracurricular activities. I don't care what those are. They have to have some type of boundaries. If you like to play basketball, you can't just hoop all the time. You can't just go hooping. If you want to go to the gym and that's how you let it off, you can't just be in the gym all day, every day. You have to have boundaries. So love yourself enough to set your own boundaries and start teaching people how to treat you. Yep, I get it, man. I get it. I'm one of them. And I want to say, listen, I have to find ways to teach people how to treat me, or they're going to treat me the way they want to treat me. So come on, leader. Teach them how to treat you by deciding what you will and what you won't accept. That's what we're talking about. We have to take care of ourselves. And I don't want to be here before you long, but that's what we're talking about. Like it says right here, right? Do more of what makes you happy. But in order to do that, be intentional about it. Set up some boundaries, set up a plan, make sure you're not drowning, and make sure that you understand your self-awareness. That's what it takes. That's what it takes in order to be an efficient and phenomenal leader. Listen, Dr. McGee, your favorite principal, transformational leader, professional life changer. We are here to change lives. We are here to serve. We are here to transform. We are here to inspire. And I want to make sure that we are taking care of ourselves in the process, because you have to be in control of yourself. You have to be able to take care of you, because nobody's going to be the biggest cheerleader than you are. So how can you show up every day full and ready to go? You got to be able to give from an overflow, because once you are full and all that stuff that spills over, that's what you give everybody else. Take care of you. It's a difference between being selfish and falling into selfishness. I'm saying be selfish, my friends. Take care of you. Put the mask on you so that you can take care of all those people that are in your care, and be phenomenal while you're doing it. All right? Listen, I love you. Make it a great week. I look forward to hearing from you. If you have any comments, please let me know. I want to put these on different platforms, but let me know if there's something that you do that contributes to your self-care. Please let me know what you do that contributes to setting boundaries to be specific. All right, let's make it a great week. Enjoy this Labor Day weekend. Tomorrow, make sure you hang out, relax, and we get back at it on Tuesday, and I'll see you next Sunday. Be well.